Welcome back. Well, people all across the country are protesting, as we've been seeing in Pretoria, in Johannesburg. We've also got people's making human chains across Cape Town, and we do have our reporters stationed across the country to bring us more on exactly what's happening. But for people that haven't been able to make it out to the streets today, they have the platform of social media, and our digital media specialist Siyabonga Africa joins us now for a look at what people have been saying on social media. And Sia, I would imagine there is a lot of what people have been saying.
There's quite a lot. I think today is definitely a day where the marches are not only physically happening, but they're also digitally happening on social media. We just saw right now one of our producers, Neo Mutong, he basically recorded an interesting video of rubber bullets being shot at ANC Youth League supporters, and that was very, very shocking. So it's definitely getting wild out there. We also have quite a few other tweets that have been coming in. The hashtag anti-Zuma marches and the hashtag Zuma must fall have garnered about 60,000 tweets. That was the last time we measured. So, you know, you can imagine that at this point, those tweets have gone up in volume and people are like really, really just talking about what's happening. People are expressing their concerns. People are, you know, saying that they're going out there to the marches. People also just commenting on what's happening in the marches themselves. This morning they gathered at Beesnodia Square, and we had quite a few tweets coming out from there. As you can see behind me, like the tweets there, like the volume really went up in the last 24 hours. And right now, still Zuma must fall is trending. And we're seeing some videos from here, the Western Cape, where protesters were protesting in the People's March. That is basically happening. This happened actually this morning. One of our SABC Western Cape producers caught that. So it's really getting intense. We saw tweets from Stellenbosch of all places. This is from Mossel Bay, Pietermaritzburg. It's everywhere.
Wow, so social media really reflects what is happening all over the country, because I mean there's only so many places our cameras can get to, but everybody's got a phone and everybody seems to be putting their views onto social media. So places like you say, Mossel Bay, Stellenbosch, Pietermaritzburg, the sort of smaller areas where we perhaps can't get to, but they are on their phones tweeting. What's the sort of sentiment that people are talking about?
I think, you know, it's the good old South African mix of negativity, positivity, that people are actually out there doing their basically exercising their constitutional rights to actually go out and protest. And we have to really stress that this is a constitutional right, that people are allowed to go out there and express their views. So people are, you know, talking about that. They also, you know, there's the cynicism of South Africans as well, as we can see on social media. So people questioning, you know, political alliances in terms of the marches themselves. So it's a real, you know, kind of mixed bag. As you can see that, you know, there were quite a few people who are, you know, pointing to our history as a nation that's born out of a struggle. So they are basically, you know, trying to, you know, debate among themselves about the future of South Africa, you know, what these marches, you know, mean, you know, for where we are now and where we're going to with 2019, you know, a year and a bit from now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what about memes? I mean, surely there must be quite a few that have sort of done the rounds about today, and maybe what the response will be after today.
There's quite a few memes. A few grannies they invented a dance. I don't know if they invented it, but they did a dance at Beesnodia this morning. I don't know if we can pull it up, but it was a really funny video and a really interesting moment. But somebody on Twitter turned it into a dance. They added a nice dance track to it. So I don't know if we can show it, but look out for that. We are definitely retweeting those type of things.
And I think that also reflects the sort of mentality of South Africans, is that we're able to stay lighthearted, especially in times like this, which I think is important, to keep that hope alight, even when things might not seem easy. We sort of able to take to social media and post funny things and get a little levity out of the situation.
Most definitely. I think I started off this week very morose, and, you know, just looking at Twitter, just seeing that positivity coming through, you know, that comedy being, you know, like strewn within the tweets and the posts and the Instagrams and the videos, you know, there we go.
Oh, here we go. We've got the grannies.
Yeah, the grannies. And that was our producer, Mama Ponya, who caught that moment. Very sweet, also very touching and very inspiring to see you know, some old South Africans who've probably seen quite a bit in their time protesting against Jacob Zuma. So, you know, there's plenty of these that's going to be making their rounds. And I think it really does, you know, touch on South Africa being a nation that, you know, we may go through dark times, but somehow we're still able to laugh and, you know, get together and, you know, express ourselves.
When you say there's negativity and positivity on people's sentiment there, what they're saying on social media, what are the sort of negative things that they're saying and what are the positive things that they're saying?
Well, I mean, in terms of negative tweets, I think a lot of the racial debates are popping up. And that's part of the reason why people are on the fence as to whether they should be joining the marches themselves. You know, some people pointing to the fact that it's a DA-led initiative or the People's March, not necessarily the entire campaign. So a lot of people are, you know, pointing to a lot of our racist past and, you know, saying that, you know, why should they join? You know, like they're very worried about that. And then as far as positive tweets going out, I think people talking about the constitutional right to, you know, gather and, you know, and protest. The fact that people are uniting and, you know, uniting for a common cause, which is to protest against our current president. So it's those kinds of posts that we're seeing, you know, people questioning, you know, where we are in South Africa, what our democracy, you know, where it's gone to in the past 23 years. But, you know, it'll be interesting to see, you know, from now on, I'm not talking about this week, but, you know, until whenever, what the conversation will be like.
And have you been able to gauge whether or not you've been able to pick up, have people been allowed to get off from work and attend these marches, or is it people have put in leave, or, you know, have you been able to pick up from a business worker perspective how people have approached these marches?
Well, that's a bit hard to determine. I think some people have, you know, been explicit in their tweets saying that they were allowed to go out, but, you know, it doesn't seem to be the main conversation on social media. It's just that people are either there or they're not. And if they're not there, then they're trying to figure out what's going on. And so those are the conversations that are happening. Okay.
And we can, somebody, whoever's watching, can go on our YouTube channel or our Twitter feed and go and track all of this and follow it for themselves.
The main account to follow is at SABC News Online. That's our main Twitter account, and we'll be retweeting all our journalists or producers who are on the ground. Our YouTube channel is live streaming all of this. We've got plenty of feeds coming through. Our Facebook channels also. Our Facebook page, actually, we're hosting a lot of Facebook Lives from our producers on the ground. So wherever they feel they want to get their news from, we'll be there giving it to them first.
All right, we've got a tweet that's going to come up now. Let's just take a look at what it says here. This is one of the reasons I won't attend the People's March. Rachel Dolezal has proved that white people do take us for idiots. So that, of course, is that coffin case. A terrible story. And again, somebody using those pictures to have their say on why they won't attend the march. And it's again that negative sentiment that you were talking about, that race becomes a part of this march, which is an unfortunate thing because it is a people's march. It's not about a political black-white thing. It is about the democracy of our country and standing up. It's about people getting their power back, I think. So this is so unfortunate.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few tweets like these, and I think, you know, they are pointing to a real problem, that racism still plays a predominant issue in our society. I think that it does also distract from the main conversation right now, which is, you know, are we happy with our current dispensation, with our current leaders? And we are basically, you know, in a position where we have to decide, you know, is it worth our while to keep our current leader where he is, or should we be swayed by, you know, our differences? And just on a point from that tweet itself, when she mentioned Rachel Dolezal, she's actually an American who claims to identify as an African American or as a black person. She's apparently coming to South Africa, which I tweeted out yesterday saying, Senzani, now we have all these problems. Why do we have to have her come to South Africa? And yeah, I think, you know, a lot of those issues, you know, which touch on race are going to be very pertinent for us to actually talk about. And I think this could be a great platform for us to actually, you know, have those conversations about race and, you know, how we can actually get along and move on beyond, you know, this impasse that we face.
Absolutely. Sia, thank you so much for your time. Our digital specialist here at the SABC, Siyabonga Africa.